Hey everybody, Peter from Agile for All here, and today is Tuesday, which means it's Top of Mind Tuesday. So I get to talk about whatever is top of mind for me today. Today, the thing that's top of mind is the role of management in Agile. So what is the role of a manager in an Agile organization? You know, there's a case that's often made by some Agile enthusiasts that, hey, for Agile, we don't need managers because the team is self-organizing now. That may be true in a very limited perspective of what managers do and what self-management means. In most of the organizations that I work, managers are still a real thing and provide some benefit if they do three things that I find critical. And so when I've worked with teams of managers all the way up to executive teams, the CEO and their team, what we find is that the backlog for the team of managers is sorted into three categories. And I think that this can apply to any manager that's trying to work in an Agile organization. The first category is to provide greater clarity. So clarity about why we're doing the work and what the most important work to do is. Now you may notice, if you're very familiar with Agile approaches, that providing greater clarity overlaps a little bit with the role of a product owner, which would be a team level role. And that is true. And even when we're working with management teams, we have to come up with the right balance between what is the management team responsible for from a clarity standpoint and what is the product owner responsible for. And so we often bring the product owner into those discussions about providing greater clarity. What we found most commonly is that we want the management team to providing kind of vision level clarity on why we're building this thing and general direction, and then the product owner to have some trade-off around strategy level down to backlog. All right, so that's the first category, provide greater clarity. The second category that we want management to pay attention to is to create greater competence within the organization. So that means skill development. That can mean hiring, anything that adds more capability to the organization. This is, I think, something that is missing in a lot of Agile teams, is there's not a lot of focus on how do you mentor people, how do you help people develop and grow. If we're leaving that up to something like an Agile coach or a Scrum Master, or even just to kind of self-driven growth, that's, in my opinion, just not as effective as having somebody who's been there, who's done that, who's an effective mentor, an effective helper in your development and growth. Managers play a vital role there. The third is improving the system around the team, around the individuals. And so we have, in most organizations that are taking an Agile approach, we have a real focus on creating teams that are self-organizing. And we find that teams within the bubble of the team can do a really good job of improving that system within the team. That's a pretty limited perspective on what is needed to deliver value to our end customer. Usually requires more than a single team. In almost every instance. There are some narrow instances where the team is able to completely deliver value on their own without any dependency on anything else. But that's a pretty rare situation. So thinking about the system around the team and between teams, we want management focusing on how do we improve that system. Just like there was overlap in the create greater clarity role of management with the product owner, there's overlap in improve the system role with the Scrum Master. And so we're going to have a similar discussion with people playing a Scrum Master or an Agile coach role to talk about where that overlap lies. Who's going to do what part of improving the system? And often, especially for team level Scrum Masters, they're going to focus on that improvement within the team, and then they're going to come to the manager or the management team with parts of the system that they wish were better, that they're having a hard time doing on their own. So improving the system is the third thing. I would encourage you to think about how these responsibilities, these three things of create greater clarity, create greater competence, and improving the system might give you some ideas of what you could focus on, and how we've used this in a lot of teams, the work that you should stop doing, the work that you should start delegating to the actual teams doing the work. Hope this has been helpful for you. If you're enjoying this type of content, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Like this video and share it with any friends that you think might find it useful. Thanks, everybody.